guys, Ron here, and once again I brought together 3 other artists, gave them a prompt, and we all had to create some Pokemon that embody the description I gave them, which was fiction versus fact. You know how medieval art would inaccurately depict foreign animals with human faces, or animals that they thought were unicorns but were actually like rhinos, or how we have cave paintings of monsters or aliens, but in reality there is some kind of realistic explanation for what these cavemen saw? Well, that's the challenge. My guests must create a piece of art that inaccurately depicts some kind of Pokemon, and then show us what the actual Pokemon looks like. Now we're finally gonna reveal our Fakemon to you guys and each other. Let me introduce these amazing artists. Once again, Jack from Subjectively graces us with his presence, Nordist has honored us with another appearance, and our new guest, Bilsu Art, famous for his Zelda-based region, is the perfect artist for today's challenge. Check the description for the links to these wonderful creators. Now let's finally see the results. But before that, consider leaving a like if you enjoy so I know to make part 10. And check out my Pokemon art playlist, which has tons of videos like this one where I create new Pokemon. This is the first time it's just all boys.
It's a boys session.
The boys.
Oh boy, it's just us boys.
This
Nice.
is just gonna be us going crazy. The first thing I guess is that both of my Fakemon just so happen to come from the same like region and environment. Our first piece is a photograph taken of a cave painting found in Unova. Okay.
Okay.
It depicts these
Ooh.
Okay.
basically these towering figures with glowing eyes near what
This is cool.
can be described as like flying saucers.
I love the shadow as if it's a real photo.
Oh yeah, I see
Yeah,
that.
the cast
Yeah.
shadow.
And like the halo.
Yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to do like cave painting or like a religious painting, so I kind of combined it. It's like a religious cave painting.
Yeah, very ominous vibes. Ooh, I'm excited. This face is getting me very excited. Oh, I like this.
That's another problem with this challenge that I realized that you guys are going to be excited for something that's obviously completely different.
That's true, right? It's like, what could it possibly mean?
It's completely opposite of an alien.
It's just a plant.
I think it's gonna be an insect.
So I want to make a humanoid rock-type Pokemon inspired by the idea of cowboys and aliens in Southwest America. He's going to be made of the same type of rock formations you can find in places like Arizona and New Mexico. He'll have a cape-like poncho as well as a sombrero that it can control using psychic powers, which looks like a UFO in the sky. It was very tough trying to implement a flowing cape, since at this point I didn't know what it would be made of. In the end, I had the idea to give it a static cape made of protruding rocks. I originally wanted to put it in a pose where it's holding its hat, but that may be too confusing. I tried to make his mustache and sombrero patterns the same, a little cohesion between different elements in his body. The patterns naturally look like sedimentary rock, but in a configuration that also mimics clothing, like a belt and boots.
Okay.
Rockwero, the hat trick Pokemon.
Give us the lore. Give us the. I want to get immersed in the story.
These honorable rock types travel the desert at night as their glowing eyes and chest lights the way. They use their detachable hats to shoot down foes with great aim. Their rock hat is incredibly heavy. They are able to lift and throw them using telekinesis because they are psychic type. Their psychic powers also allow them to hit the targets from a mile away. So they're sharpshooters.
No way. I was going to make a joke when we were pointing at and we were like, look at the UFOs. And I was going to say, like, nah, they're just sombreros. He's just throwing sombreros. That's actually what it is.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So thank God they look like sombreros.
I'd love to see this like in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Is there like some sort of like light emitting from like underneath the hat when it's in the air?
Yeah, so I assume that under his hat is another light source, like one of the patterns that it has.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I really like the mustache kind of, but mouth kind of look.
It just so happened to work out. Like I didn't want to do a mustache, and then I saw a mustache. I'm like, oh, let me do that.
Isn't that funny how that works?
If it's not obvious, it's based on the concept of cowboys and aliens. The rock pillars in like Monument Valley,
Yeah.
as well as the vaqueros, which are basically the original cowboys from Spain and Mexico. Also, technically, where the term buckaroo comes from, vaquero.
Oh, okay. So that's a complete bastardization of that word.
Yeah.
I love the different layers of Earth. You immediately get that desert vista. The compacted layers of Earth that you could see in those big mesas.
Yeah, it's also like easy to do, so it's like
Yeah.
and it's like it also easily looks like clothes while still clearly being natural. So it's like it's a cheat code.
True, I just noticed the belt when you said that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Belt and pockets.
Little holsters. That is
That's
pretty
so
great.
smart.
I can see the comments now, though. There's at least 50 comments right now. That should have been a ground type. Yeah, that looks more like a ground type than a rock type.
There's always those.
There's always going to be those
versus
kind.
ground.
And if you had made it a ground type, they would have been like, that should have been a rock type.
Originally, it was going to be a steel type. It was going to actually be a UFO. But then I'm like, it would look too much like BHM, if it would look too much like an alien, and
Yeah.
it was going to be very Gallade-like. It was going to look like just a humanoid that didn't have like any element on it. But then I'm like, okay, I have to make it natural. So, and then yeah, cave painting is like the easiest thing to do. So that's why I chose that first. But then I'm
You
like,
put so much effort into that.
It looks real, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next one is my favorite type of antique style in terms of just I definitely wanted to recreate this kind of style. The next peak is antique art from a 1,000-year-old Colossian manuscript. So from Kalos, it tells the tale of an expedition to a land near Unova, where travels witnessed this.
Yes.
I love this.
manuscript.
I just love the people in the little castle.
That was the favorite part. Yeah.
They're so small and they look like they're just accepting this. They're just like, yeah, no, we're in this little fortress on the back of this insane creature. Yeah, that's just what's going on today.
So the travelers witnessed a fearsome bird with an entire fortress on its back and multiple eyes. And earthquakes follow it. So
Okay, I like that.
it's definitely a bird. I'll confirm that it is a bird.
A fortress on their back, though.
Yeah, what could that mean?
Keep in mind that this is just word of mouth.
Right.
And this is how they think a fortress would look like on a bird.
Okay, this is good because this is making it seem like what I did is not that crazy. I'm glad that we're starting with this.
So I'm literally making a turkey with a Mesoamerican structure on its back. It's very much inspired by the importance of turkeys in Mayan societies. I want it to look like a Mayan god. In reality, it's just a normal turkey Pokemon with clay built up on its back. There's some Mesoamerican patterns here and there, nothing too specific. It even has clay talons. It has a blue head like the ocellated turkey found in Mexico. The signature turquoise and orange for such cultures ties it all together. I personally love the stylized waddle I gave it. Here is Turkulkan.
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
Oh, dang, that is a fortress.
Because when let's say Europeans, Colossians hear of fortress, they're gonna put like a castle, right?
Oh, okay, but it's not. It's got the Mesoamerican like ziggurat thing going on.
So Turkulkan's a clay hide gets taller as it ages and grows its family, basically, because its chicks travel within the walls of its fortress hump thing.
Oh,
That's adorable.
Has an indestructible head. One peck could shatter a boulder. And also the land quakes as it walks. So the sound of its mating calls reverberates within the holes on its face. So that's why the travelers thought when this thing walks, it causes earthquakes, both because it makes a big sound, but also because it's a ground type. It can do earthquakes. It's Pokemon.
yeah, that is. It's like a little less unusual in the world of Pokemon.
Yeah, it's not because it's
for,
like big or anything. It's just because it's a ground type.
Yeah, you just can't use earthquake. Why not?
It's based on turkeys in the Mayan culture and Mesoamerican cultures in general, as well as let me show you an ocellated turkey
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
That's
Good looking
gorgeous.
bird.
instead of like a wild turkey.
Why aren't there any turkey Pokemon?
And you match the
That's-
colors, too.
Exactly, that's why it's a little bit more blue.
Such a missed opportunity.
I just noticed the connection between turkey and turquoise, the color.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous color palette you have
I
here.
love it. Yeah. I love using turquoise basically.
It's
in
like the
Pokemon.
Marsh Stomp colors.
Yeah, but I love it too because it feels like painted pottery or like painted, sculpture, with the blues and the orange and then just the bare brown of whatever the material was underneath.
Thank you.
I really like
That's
that.
the point.
Good.
Its name does come from turkey, turquoise, but also Kukulkan and the temple of Kukulkan for the god Kukulkan, which is like a feathered god, but it's usually depicted as a serpent, not a turkey, but feathered god. Let's just say that.
Why not make it a little turkey? Throw a little turkey in there.
Pokemon does that. Game Freak does that.
Yeah. Well, I reference this specific temple so much.
Yeah.
When I was doing the Mazda region, I found so many different pictures of this temple.
I know the Maz region is done, but like if you want to
Yes.
incorporate it, you can.
We'll slip Turkledon in there. Absolutely, this would totally fit.
DLC.
The crossover event.
You definitely got your rock practice in, like all these different rock
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I really like the additional context of these two different artworks being done by two different cultures. So they're like interpreting what they're seeing based on their own cultures. So it's like
Exactly.
this one came out, looking so much different from what the actual thing is because they're just not accustomed to seeing it. They're like, I don't know what the hell this thing is. I saw it once out of the corner of my eye, and then someone else told it to me, and then someone else told it to someone else, and then this illustration was made.
Like the reason why people thought they had multiple eyes is because it has these holes, and then out of some of the holes is chicks would, pop out.
Oh, very cool. Oh, I like that.
So would this be like an evolved form?
Yeah, I would have to make a chick version eventually.
I'm picturing it having like a really oversized head that like it has a hard time holding up and likes being inside mommy's back because it can't really support its own weight. I like that.
The chicks could be based on some of these like statues, honestly. Like the head would be big, and then
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they have the little feathers sticking out.
for both of these, like it looks good, but it just in 1 second it looks instantly much better once you just add like a texture to it. Like once I add like the page texture and like the cave texture, it's like it works so well. Any artist advice is like it'll eventually always look good. So like don't be confident that it'll
Yeah, it's the post-processing part.
exactly.
The beauty of digital art.
All right. So now that it's my turn, I did not do a cave painting
Okay.
Perfect.
for my first Pokemon or a medieval painting, so that's good. All right, so basically, I didn't do like an artwork.
I didn't
per
make
se.
anything.
No, it's technically like I made it, but what it's supposed to be is not supposed to be art, but it is basically what someone captured, the last frame of what someone captured on their camcorder.
Perfect.
Oh,
yes.
Yes, analog horror Pokemon. Yes.
Found footage.
This is gonna be the best episode ever.
So basically this Pokemon is something that people only heard about, and this is the only known shot of it from a recording from a little Rotom recorder.
Yeah, I love that at the top of the screen. That's fantastic.
You can see their battery was running low. So they just describe this thing as this really tall, dark creature in the woods with horns.
Makes sense. It looks like that.
But people don't want to go there in these sets of woods because they don't want to get caught by this thing. But let's see what it actually is.
It'd be the friendliest Pokemon in the world, probably.
So this is a pretty simple and straightforward design. It's just a little shrub creature. It's not based on any sort of real-life animals, so creating a bush with eyes, a mouth, and stick horns was the main focus. It also has some large feet that you might see on something like a Goomba or a Tangela. I also took a lot of inspiration from Ewoks from Star Wars as well as Karibo from Yu-Gi-Oh! And giving it a very sad little expression, similar to something like Whismur, was really important to contrast what other people saw when they saw this creature, which was for some reason a very terrifying, dark, tall entity in the forest.
So this is Shrubble.
Oh, Shrubble.
So Shrubble's it's a grass and dark Pokemon. It's pretty much not really based on any specific animal. I think that's the one thing that I do that's like pretty different. It's funny that you have like me and Nordist here, because Nordist is like the extreme science guy, and I make like the fantasy kind of stuff.
That's perfect.
I
yeah.
love that.
Go.
I would say it has inspirations from...
Karibo.
Yep. I was literally just about to put it.
Yes,
Karibo from Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's what I was thinking.
Ewoks. But this is its Littlefoot form.
Oh.
So basically I wanted to kind of make something that was similar to Wishy-Washy. I also took some inspiration from like Phalanx and stuff. And it has an ability called Brush Up. Whenever it is face to face with something it's super effective against, as long as it's level 20, it will transform.
Ah, how do we not have that?
Interesting.
So the reason Shrubble is so simple and doesn't match the description that people gave this Pokemon in their sightings is because it's actually a combination of Shrubble joining together to create a Sasquatch. This is very similar to Wishy-Washy, but it doesn't quite have the aesthetic that Wishy-Washy's school form does. I chose to try and have a bit more fun with this design of Shrubble and piece together elements of its design to create body parts, like the horns being the fingers, its feet now being the toes of the Sasquatch, and even an eye in the middle of the chest. That way it has a little bit more variety in the design. I even gave it meaner eyes and removed the mouth, that way it looked a lot more intimidating. I just loved how essentially I was playing Lego with this design, so it was really, really fun.
Wow.
It's Bigfoot form.
Bigfoot.
sense.
Oh,
So big
fantastic.
now. So this is multiple Shrubbles.
Yeah, technically.
Oh, wow. You're right.
Yeah, I see that.
Wait,
the
so like,
little feet
yeah, the finger of the.
build up the body.
Ah, that's perfect.
And you can see each one of the toes in the Bigfoot form is just one of the feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
In the Littlefoot form. I love how it, even in the Bigfoot form, it's still kind of cute. Like, it's still not, like, yeah, if I saw it in the middle of the night and I just saw the glowing eyes, I'd run away. But, it's got that classic, you call it Pokemon, you can call it just collectible monster feel, where it's like, I wanna sit in the woods and just have a picnic with it, too.
Yeah.
It seems friendly enough.
Shrubble's name just comes from shrub and shuffle.
Okay.
So they're just really scared Pokemon. And when they go and travel about, they just form this creature. Yeah, that's how they get from place to place together.
When you first showed off the Littlefoot form, like, I thought it would evolve, but then I read this Pokemon does not evolve.
Yeah, it's like very explicit.
How? But it comes together like Voltron with
Yeah.
a whole bunch of other Shrubbles.
Yeah, I definitely took some inspiration from some like Bionicles and like robots and stuff like that.
Nice.
Bionicles.
Yes.
Which Shrubble makes the middle chest glow?
It's like one of its eyes.
See, I was imagining them doing like the Megamind meme pose with the one eye sticking
Oh yeah.
out.
No bitches. I like that.
Yeah.
I like these colors.
True.
And I do like your signature, like, extra light source.
I used to do Sugimori style a lot.
It's just like elevated Sugimori style. It's like next step.
It's more like I'm like, what if they like changed it?
Oh, we have another Pokemon. Shit.
So this one I probably had the most fun with, I think. It's kind of only really been heard about as like a myth. But there's this little boy, and he claims he's seen it before, pretty much close to his house, but his parents are always telling him, like, that's just a myth, that's not real. Because the way he describes it is, he describes it as a red Luxray
Oh,
with
interesting.
a Go-Goat body and a Seviper tail. This is what he sticks on his fridge at home.
Oh my god! It's a child's. Oh, that's fantastic.
That's fun. Those were always like creepy when you see like art of like
Yeah.
It's the Babadook.
exactly.
That's the Babadook.
I was really just like, what is just a way I can draw this as if like I was just a kid. I was like looking, it's weird to like reference little kid art
Yeah.
Yeah.
to just see how they're doing like humans or just animals.
Yeah, you have to like forget so much about what you've learned as an adult about illustration and
Yeah.
just go back to. I love the choice of brush here though. Like
Yeah.
the marker that's scribbling over itself.
Like
and
the
it's got
bleeding?
that overlapping.
Yeah, it's actually a Procreate default brush.
I was gonna ask. I'm like, no, I use Photoshop.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I hope the colors are similar to what is drawn here. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that's why the parents didn't really believe him because it didn't make any sense.
It's a chimera of some sort.
Sorry, now I'm noticing that this whole challenge makes no sense in the Pokemon world because anything could be real. Why?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's like how unbelievable is unbelievable in the Pokemon world.
Exactly.
Well, maybe all the parents just know, like, they're like Gen 1ers. They just know their
True.
This isn't a rock with arms. It couldn't possibly exist.
So this design might end up looking somewhat familiar, and that's 100% intentional. It draws from design elements of Pokemon like Solgaleo and Type Null. It's a chimera, but it's also a fusion of organic and synthetic material. But despite it being a chimera, I wanted it to look very streamlined and unified. I wanted to make sure that the majority of the shape language meshed together pretty well. Originally I had a color scheme of a maroon, a green, and a gold, but I scrapped the gold because it added a little bit too much contrast even though I did really like the color scheme, and I opted in for white instead. It also heavily draws from robots like Zoids and Gundam, so maybe it went a little bit too far, but I honestly really enjoyed making this, and I don't regret it.
Oh yeah.
So
Sick.
this is Chimerex, the Chimera Pokemon. It's Steel and Dragon. I took a lot of inspiration from
Well, Solgaleo is the shiny.
Yeah.
Basically.
I love
Yeah.
this Solgaleo shiny.
and Type Null, but it also has a similar backstory. This is the final stage of a pseudo-legendary, but the first form is actually a little more messed up looking Chimera Pokemon that someone made, kind of similar to like Type Null, but they
Okay.
escaped the lab they were made in and kind of adapted into the wild and slowly over time evolved into this more uniform looking Pokemon.
Interesting.
It looks like an evolved like predator. Like it,
That's cool because I can see how, the parts of the body look cobbled together, but because they all have, this homogeneous color scheme and they all kind of have like a nice, sleek, almost retro-futuristic sci-fi feel to them. It doesn't look out of place. It doesn't look unnatural, but it does look like, you can see how it would have come from something that seems unnatural.
Yeah, they definitely feel like you could kind of pull them apart like Legos. At least like the tail and your feet and customize them.
Yeah, I was really playing Legos with this challenge.
Yeah, they're more bionic.
Well, its head is kind of like how, how like Type Null has like the helmet. So basically this is like if the helmet just kind of fused to its head.
Okay.
you know what's funny is that like it's clearly more Solgaleo like than Luxray, but a kid wouldn't be able to see a Solgaleo. He would.
That's true.
So like he wouldn't. So Luxray would only be like the only big cat Pokemon that he could really think of, at least other than
That's
the Pyro.
true.
So that makes
Yeah,
total
why?
sense.
Why would a kid know what Solgaleo looks like?
Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
No, the kid was a good artist. Honestly, he depicted it really well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This kid. he can
I'm
depict
glad it
most
has
things.
similar color schemes because this is a beautiful palette.
Sometimes I just get in the mood to like make a specific thing. I'm like, I need to make this work somehow.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? That was
Good
the same
indulge.
thing with my turkey. I just really needed a turkey Pokemon.
And I need this now.
I'm like, I need an excuse.
yeah.
You wanted Gundam, I wanted a turkey. That's the difference between you and me.
Very
Turkey's pretty
important
good.
niches.
Yeah, the two main ones as far as character designs go. You got Gundams, you got Turkey. We've covered all the bases.
Very nice. Who's next? It is Nordis.
Alright, this has been from an old sailor's tale. Even though despite being in Kalos, someone has reported there was a Ponyta at sea.
Of course.
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice.
I love
But
these sea
ponytas
drawings.
can't swim. How could they be out in the sea? And then some people said like, oh, maybe it's just dragalgy. But the thing is, this whole time, the sailors say that, at least the sailors who have seen this so-called ponyta, they have a distinct memory of everything they saw that day. They remember how the waves sounded. They remember like everything throughout the day. They just cannot, for the love of their lives, draw exactly what they saw. Now I am kind of a nerd, right? Like that's my whole character.
No.
Are we opening the floor for some guesses before I show off the design?
I hope that it's freaky. Like, of course, I'm thinking Kelpies right now, and I'm thinking like luring sailors or people on shore to an untimely demise, and that it's like a little unsettling.
No, I want it to be very beautiful and pretty.
Based on what Nordis does, it's going to be something real.
What they actually saw was Hypnocampus.
Whoa!
Oh, that makes total
A
sense.
seahorse.
Okay, because they couldn't draw what they actually saw.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
I don't know if I could post this in chat.
I don't mind. Like brain stuff.
Because it's disgusting, or because it's too big, or because it's illegal.
It's illegal. Oh,
No,
yeah.
that's-
Very
that-
cosmic
Oh,
horror.
that's fine.
That's why it looks like that.
So there's a part of the brain called the hippocampus. It's literally named after a seahorse because it kind of looks like a seahorse.
Right. Remember that from Bloodborne.
Yeah, and it has to do with gathering your memories and then later allocating them so that you could remember them long time.
Mine does not work.
I wanted to emphasize the hippocampus, of course. So, like the weird horn things are kind of like how they're positioned in our brains. But the thing is, I just can't have a floating head, especially if I want a seahorse body. So, the rest of the body is kind of like a spinal cord with nerves coming out of it.
Oh, yes.
I love the body.
Somehow you always do a really good job at like translating these cells and stuff into Pokemon.
Yeah, it's such an abstract concept.
In fact, in the
Yeah.
previous episode, I guess I've had muscle cells, so this is now like nerve cells.
Yeah.
That could
Nice,
be
the full set.
that could be another prompt, like taking shapes from whatever you see and turning it into something completely different that isn't based on whatever
I
you
love that.
whatever you saw.
I love that as a drawing exercise.
like
That is a
clouds.
cool challenge.
Yeah, it's basically like clouds, but instead of using clouds, like you use actual objects that don't just change. There's a lot of aspects and details to it, but it's not over designed or complicated at all. It's very clear.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's your style that's making it very nice and clear, or like just really good.
The mixture of the horror of human anatomy combined with the infinite unknowability of the ocean. Those are like, I love those two genres when they meet. And this is absolutely an example of that. But it's also not so creepy that it doesn't seem like a Pokemon. It's not like gory or anything. You know, if a kid looked at this, they probably wouldn't understand, you know, what went into the design. And then you learn and you're like, oh, I see now.
It was gore all along.
It was gore this whole time.
This isn't like scientific or anything. This is just lore-wise.
Okay.
Maybe it makes them forget exactly who they are. So, you know, just messes around with the memory a whole bunch.
You basically
Very
use the prompt in the lore, basically.
Yeah.
My next mon is a fossil. So
Oh, okay.
This is
Oh, okay.
this is the nail fossil. Once old professors discovered this fossil, they were like thinking like, oh, let's imagine what this fossil would have actually looked like, as we do in our own world. Back then, a lot of the scientists who saw this fossil, it might look something like this, and this was what was published in their journal decades ago.
Oh, okay.
Weird.
It's a big
Oh
hand,
my god. Yes.
nail. If you know about paleontology, you probably already know what I'm alluding to, which real life story I am paralleling in this
Can I
design.
take a guess?
Yes,
Is it Therizinosaurus?
exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Here we go. It wasn't a turtle. It was no water
Oh
rock
my
type.
God.
It's
I
a
knew
fire
it.
rock type.
Oh my
rock
god.
fire.
It's so
Oh, so that's okay.
cute. Oh, Virgo's gonna love this one.
Yeah, I was like, you are now the resident paleo guy because Virgo's not here.
I won't take up that mantle because I had to look up the story, and you know, this is what's fun, right? Because you
Yeah.
research all of these, like, what could I
Exactly.
reference? I didn't know about the Therizinosaurus before
Yeah.
this whole endeavor. There was a professor who saw the fossil, and they predicted this to be a turtle. They thought it's a big hand. It's for fins. It
Big
has
hand
to
equals
swim.
turtle. Makes sense.
Now, the more updated consensus of what a Therizinosaurus would look like is something more raptor.
It's a theropod, which is in the same family as the raptors,
Yeah.
but it's in its own family, and it's very avian, like what you have here. It's more bird-like than reptilian.
As most fossils, except for the Galarian fossils, this guy evolves. So
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
There's Ferno. Oh, I love the fire type. Oh my god, it has red hot claws.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I love the headpieces that you have on them.
Yeah.
The feathers look
Cute.
beautiful. That's how you make fire without it being literally fire.
it's just feathers.
I'm a bit creeped out by the fingers.
It's the red hot knife challenge. Remember those videos?
Yes, I was gonna say this Pokemon can make a YouTube channel. Just cut things in half. You know, something else funny about Therizinosaurus, the actual animal, is after the turtle theory, there was another theory that these were the arms of a Tyrannosaur and that it was enormous. That like it was like 5 times the size of T-Rex. I also just noticed on Scorchia's tail, it kind of has like I think it's the Japanese symbol for fire,
Oh,
where it's
yeah.
like the little,
Yeah.
almost like a star pattern, like fire blast, like the 5-starred.
The Daimonji.
I
I
like
tried to
that.
do that with Thesferno's headpiece.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like the fire typing came because I wanted it to be an inverse of what was expected with the turtle.
Oh, okay.
That
Makes sense.
The body became more like a bomb shape, and
Oh,
everything else fell
Oh,
in
yeah, its
together.
tail does kind of look like a fuse.
and the head looks like a fuse. It looks like a lit fuse, and then like the neck is the fuse. Oh,
Why
very
didn't you say
cool.
so earlier? I do want to see more fire types that are like charcoal color with red accents. I think black fire types are sick.
Yeah, yeah, and that sells that bomb a lot too.
Did we all do completely different kinds of unique art of
No,
antique art?
So
I-
far,
Oh, okay.
No, I'm gonna ruin our streak. All right, so should I dive in here?
Jack, you're next.
And dive in quite literally because both of my illustrations come from a manuscript from a seafaring people, and these were illustrations made by monks, the only people who were able to draw in that time, the only people who had the luxury to be able to draw. So this first illustration
Nice.
was an illustration. Anyway, we're going back to the medieval
Yes, what I
European
wanted.
artwork.
I want to see more.
And so this illustration depicts a story told by numerous sailors and people who just lived by the sea, recounting stories of giant hands reaching out from the water, two large hands that would reach out from the water and appear to beckon at people either on boats or on the land. But anytime anyone ever actually got out to see the hands, they would disappear back below the water. So this was the monk's interpretation of that story.
How ominous.
Yeah,
Very spooky.
kind of weird.
I mean, this guy seems to be fine with it. He's pointing at him. He's like, I see you.
I just I just loved recreating how like placid every medieval human is in any artwork. Like they get stabbed in the head and their face just looks the same.
Guess all that.
So that is what they thought they were seeing. But now modern scientists know that this is what it was. These hands would turn out to be not hands at all, but the two heads of one Pokemon, Nemonesi. This concept was a little old school and kind of straightforward, but that made it a little bit more fun to design. I allowed myself to go crazy with the shapes, really playing with the movement of the two incredibly long and thin necks. It took me a while to figure out how I was going to do the decoy fingers on the character's head, but the curled feathers were very cute shapes and they worked for my purposes. Having the two heads also allowed me to convey in one piece of key art that the character was able to curl and uncurl these feathers, thus creating the illusion of a hand and fingers opening and closing.
Oh.
Oh.
An actual
Nice.
fantastical beast.
Very much not what people believed it to be. So Nemonesi is a two-headed Pokemon that has these feathers on its head that it can curl and uncurl, sort of either to mess with people or for some other unknown reason. But they seem to understand that people like the way it looks when they curl and uncurl their feathers, so they do it intentionally and then swim away before people ever get too close to them.
That's adorable.
I like how it's more fantastical than the art.
Yeah. And of course there's some like Loch Ness Monster, but I just started thinking about how little people in medieval times understood what sea creatures were.
True.
And you know, they could only relate it to what they saw on land, and the closest comparison that they had was hands, human hands. So that's what people thought that they were.
First, did you make a whole new layout for this video?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Not really, I just kind of reformatted things so that it looked like a medieval manuscript.
The challenge was originally going to be just, hey, everybody draw medieval Pokemon art. Because that's what I wanted to see. So thank God I got
Okay,
to
good,
see
good.
that. So don't feel bad.
I like that you chose
Yeah.
like a mono color palette, basically.
Is also a little bit of like is it the Minogame? Like the turtle with the seaweed on the tail? Like Squirtle and Wartortle and all that?
You know, I didn't know the actual name for it, but I was definitely thinking about Wartortle with like a sea creature that has like fluff on it, which, you know, just doesn't exist in real life. But like, I like the idea because those shapes, they really seem like waves.
Definitely.
You know, like foam on a wave. This definitely, while I was drawing it, I was definitely feeling like closer to a Gen 1 kind of Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that when I see this. I mean, the eyes are Gen 1 too.
Yeah.
It's got like the
Yeah,
Steelix eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, it does have a Steelix face.
Yeah, actually it does. With the
reptilian
big
face.
jaw.
I assume this is not intentional, but it also, the hair looks like a 18th century
yeah.
wig.
Yeah.
It looks like
yeah.
a wig, and that also reminds me of like the Leviathan, like Thomas Hobbes and Leviathan. All the aspects work really well together.
Yeah, the hair things. Oh no, you know what this looks like about how like in medieval drawings of sea creatures, specifically whales, the way they depicted the spouts of water coming out of their blowholes looked very solid and almost looked like hairs.
Yeah. Also, slightly looks like the curls on the hair of like a Greek statue, which again, like this also is giving me some Greek stuff in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, with the swirls, yeah.
I see a lot of iconography that we associate with sea creatures and sea monsters. It works really well. It also looks like two eels that are like from like coming out of a rock.
I kind of was arguing with myself, like, two-headed Pokemon. Like, is there any other than like the Zweilous and like that Zweilous and Hydreigon multi-headed
Doduo.
Pokemon?
No.
Oh yeah, Doduo and
No.
Dotrio. Yeah.
Binacle.
Binacle.
Yep. Okay. There you go. All right. So yeah, it was. I went back and forth for a while. I was like, it doesn't seem like plausible. But then I was like, yeah.
Well, multiple-headed dragons are a thing. Or
Yeah.
like-
This guy said multiple heads on a Pokemon. Impossible.
All right. Go ahead. Cancel me in the comments. It's coming now. It's coming.
I said it wouldn't work.
It just doesn't. It just doesn't look like a Pokemon. You know?
This is the most Pokemon-looking Pokemon I've ever seen in my life.
You know, my insecurity about it feeling not official enough that's why I gave it those Gen 1 eyes, because I was like, oh, that just upped the Pokemon factor so much. Now all of a sudden, now it's a Pokemon.
Wait, hold up. What is this shiny? This beautiful candy colored.
Yeah.
In every episode, when I see someone's Fakemon, at least one of them looks like candy to me. I don't know why that is.
Well, I really force myself to use more saturated colors with both of these. The second one is even more saturated. Like I said, these illustrations both come from the same manuscripts. This illustration was a story told by multiple different parties describing a human face, and more specifically the face of an illuminated angel peering up from below the waves. They could see it at the bottom of the sea, illuminated by what they assumed was a halo, and heavenly lights that seemed to pour from the face's eyes.
Everything had a halo back then.
Yeah, it just of course it must be a halo.
I mean, I've been trying to predict everything this episode. This is the hardest one.
I am kind of curious. I
think it's going to be a rock.
Interesting.
I'm thinking of like a
A
brain.
rock that looks like a face.
Like we got the hippocampus, and now the hair looks like the brain for me. So I'm thinking like a floating brain.
My guess is a barrel-eye fish.
Okay. Okay. So all right. We have. Oh, my dog is gagging in the background.
Oh, wait, why
Are you all right there?
why am I laughing
Dang,
at that?
wow. Sorry for guessing so incorrectly.
You're making her sick. Can you excuse? We're in the middle of recording something right now, please. I'm glad we have three very different guesses. One of you is closer than the others. Now, of course, with this prompt, I was compelled to create something related to the sea. The way that humankind has interpreted the mysteries of the ocean has always been fascinating to me, and medieval renderings of fish are particularly captivating. The monkfish was so named for its resemblance to a cowled monk, and other similar bottom-dwelling fish were also misconstrued for uncanny humanoid visages. What if, I thought, a creature took that illusion even further, using bioluminescence to create the image of a halo in addition to the false head that was on its back? This was the basic idea for Seraphim, a fish-like Pokemon that lured in prey with a complicated bait-and-switch. From the perspective of a human looking down into the water, this Pokemon would have the appearance of a human face, illuminated by what looks like a halo of heavenly light. The complexity of this Fakemon design made me think of the newer generation of Pokemon, so my color choices and rendering style were done in that of the Gen 8, Gen 9 aesthetic. So what these fishermen and sailors actually saw was Seraphim.
Of course.
Oh,
Seraphim Finn.
Seraphim is a sea-dwelling Pokemon that lives at the very bottom of the ocean, on the seafloor, and it has a very complicated lore system. It creates these little false fish that glow, that attract the attention of potential prey items. But of course, the poor sailors didn't know any of this. What they saw and what they thought was it was the face of an angel, because the patterns on the Pokemon's back looks like the face, a human face. Oh my god, my dog is still coughing. Thank you. And the fish circling around this false head look like a halo, and then its fins also glow, so it kind of looks like the false eyes on its back are rays of light shining out of, or the fins look like rays of light shining out of the false eyes.
I don't know how none of us guessed just a face pattern.
It's a little more simple than what you guys are guessing.
This is gorgeous.
it's definitely not a rock.
It doesn't move a lot.
It does
It's
have,
very stationary.
despite this being an angler, it's
Oh,
more...
angler.
Oh, snap.
Oh wow! I actually didn't even think of that. I actually didn't think of that.
But I was about to say, it also has kind of that stonefish vibe with its...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of right.
Well, so part of the inspiration, there are a lot of fish that inspired it, but part of it, and part of what gave me the inspiration for the the theme of the antique arc being drawn by monks, is a type of fish called a monkfish. So named because fishermen who caught it. So from the top, if you looked at it from the top down, they thought it looked like a monk wearing a hood. And then there's another fish called a stargazer. Trigger warning for anyone who is scared of like eyes and stuff.
I've already shown a stun gazer in a video talking about stun.
You
fish.
have. But like if you look at their backs, like it almost looks like they have a face pattern in addition to their actual face.
I see a whole
Wow,
human.
weird.
I see little legs and hands, a hat.
Yeah. Okay, Lorena, I can't quite see what you're seeing there, but
I see almost a skull with like two eye sockets. Yeah.
it's intentionally trying to fool fish, unintentionally fooling humans.
Are the little fish like they're just like things of light?
Yeah, they're little like balls of energy. So I made it a fairy type because I feel like fairies have a lot of like light manipulation. There was all that thing where like, oh, fairy is like the light type.
I love ugly
like,
fairy types.
Those things are only circling around its little lure for as long as it's sitting still, but then when it like swims away, they just kind of just like pop and disappear.
Oh, so they're like holograms?
Yeah, they're
love
like
that.
little like will-o-wisps.
Two things.
Very
First,
nice.
the pattern kind of looks a little bit Mediterranean. I like it. Like the colors too. Second, when people think of like contrast, usually you think of like color or like shapes. But for me, this is a new kind of contrast that we're dealing with, which is like the body is very static because it's just sitting around, while the lure is very like it's a lot of movement to it. So it's like very exciting. And that's a good kind of contrast. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually wasn't even thinking about that, but you're right. Yeah, like there's implied movement in the little fake fish around the lure, but then yeah, the Pokemon itself is completely still.
I like the perspective of it.
Little foreshortened.
Honestly, the face kind of looks like Jesus. I see Jesus.
Biblical inspirations all around.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wait. It wasn't the first symbol of Christianity a fish?
Yeah, well, I mean that's always like the ties to the sea and Jesus. I think yeah. Right. What is the significance of the fish in Christianity? I know there is one.
Maybe he gave someone a fish.
He produces fish. And fish
That's
and
his power.
loaves.
That's his claim
No,
to fame.
I swear to God, I don't want to like offend anyone's religion. It's fine. I grew up Catholic. It's fine. I can insult Christianity.
I forgot
or
that
misremember it at the very
People
least.
get offended by that.
Yeah, no, I totally have the right.
Yeah.
It's like a starving village, and he just makes fish appear. I swear to God, that's. Anyway,
Is the
I mean,
shiny
Gen
based
1
on
had-
anything?
I was just kind of going for like more angelic stuff. Like, how crazy can I make this? How saturated can I make it?
Yellow's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Very wacky.
That's like warning yellow.
Now, I was going to ask what a wobgong is, but I looked it up while you were talking.
Oh yeah. That's another source of influence for the design, and I just love that word so much that I named it species type after that. I like the weird ones in like official Pokemon designs where it's like I just recently found out that Grumpig's species name is the Manipulator
Yeah.
Pokemon.
What?
And it's like what? Why?
I like it, though.
But
It adds a lot to it, though. I used to not really care about Grumpig, but then when I found that it manipulates people, I'm like,
Wow, we're gonna
slay.
be talking a lot about Grumpig tomorrow.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah, that's why I've been researching Grumpig.
Guys, if like to the viewers, if you want more, you can see me and like a bunch of other like familiar faces from the 4 artist series over at Subjectively's channel, like where we redesigned a bunch of Pokemon. That's we're recording that tomorrow, but that's coming out right, like it's out right now, like when you're
That's
watching
right
this.
now. We're gonna launch it at the same time.
Yeah,
we
go
will
watch
be
it.
able to watch one after the other.
gonna be long.
You get the full cinematic universe.
It's gonna be a good weekend for you guys. Oh my god. Thank you guys for coming. This was again the most interesting episode of the series. I'm sure people are gonna love it, all because of you guys. Thank you for making my dreams come true.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Honestly, it's kind of wild.